Beyond 2040, and welcome to a very special edition of the Progressive Rock and Metal. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the amazing and incredible catalogue from a collaborative duo project that features two true legends from the progressive rock genre and two outstanding musicians who, quite frankly, in my opinion, need no introduction whatsoever. I am talking about, of course, the one and only John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes, Icon. And this is part two of a two-part special where I am going to be discussing the entire John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon catalogue. So for part one, I discussed all of the John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon studio albums. And for part two, which is a follow up to the last one that I did, we are going to be discussing the John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon live albums. So, for me personally, as impressive as John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon is in the studio, and trust me, they are very impressive, I feel, in my opinion, John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon sound even better live because there's something about John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon in a live environment. Now, when they're playing as part of Asia, obviously when they got back together, they did play various snippets from each member's individual careers, but for the most part, an Asia concert mostly concentrated on Asia material, which is fine because that's what you expect to see when you go to an Asia concert. But when you go to see John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon live, you don't really know what you're going to get. You know, it's a case of expect the unexpected because obviously they do play a lot of their icon material, but they take their music in different directions from both Wetton and Downes' individual careers. So at an icon concert, you could probably hear material from UK or King Crimson or Yes or the Buggles or tracks from John Wetton's solo career. So it's quite interesting that you get so much diverse material at a Wetton and Downes icon concert because, as I said, you're getting snippets of both their individual careers, and it's almost like you're seeing a retrospective of these guys' careers because Jeff Downes has done a lot in his career. John Wetton has done unbelievable stuff in his career. So when you put the two together, it makes for a very special and unique concert. And obviously, Icon do play a lot of Asian material, which is no surprise because you've got two founding members from Asia. So you do expect to hear Asian material at an Icon concert. But it's just so magical watching these two prog legends performing so much material from their career. And also, let's not forget, aside from all of the bands and projects that John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes have been part of, what about all the unreleased material that never got recorded or some tracks that were intended for Asia? There's so much to choose from, and as I said, it makes for a very unique experience. And John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes, they bring so much energy into their playing and into the music. And as I said, you're pretty much getting like a look at prog history, and it doesn't get any better than John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon live. So, as I mentioned already, we are going to be discussing all of the John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon live albums, which is a total of four live recordings. And as always, I am going to be talking about each live album individually, and I'll be choosing which one I think is the best one. Not an easy challenge. All of these live albums are excellent. There might be one or two that are a little bit better than others, but there's no bad live album. There might be one or two that are, in my opinion, a little bit better than others, But if anyone who is a fan of Asia and they're interested to check out what John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon are all about, I would recommend some of the live albums because, like I said earlier, as impressive as John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon are in the studio, some of their best stuff are the live albums, and there are lots of hidden gems, a couple of cool surprises, and as I said earlier, you get like pretty much a snippet and retrospective of both Wetton and Downes' individual careers. So we're going to start with the first live album, and this one came out in 2006, and this one is called Icon Live Never in a Million Years. So, Icon Live Never in a Million Years marks the first time since Asia Live in Moscow that John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes had recorded and released a live album. And this also marked the first time since the 1990s that John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes had played together live on stage. And the material that's featured on this live album is a little bit of everything. We've got tracks from the first three Asia albums, we've got tracks from the first Icon album, we've got a track from John Wetton's solo album. You name it, it's all here. And as you'd expect from John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes, you're getting the absolute best. These guys sound as tight. The musicianship, the playing, everything, the chemistry is as strong as ever. And Geoffrey Downes and John Wetton don't beat. It was like they just played the day before. So we've got on this live album, we've got John Wetton on bass, vocals, and acoustic guitars, Geoffrey Downes on keyboards and backing vocals, and we've also got two long-time members from the John Wetton band, John Mitchell on guitars and backing vocals, and Steve Christie on drums. Excellent stuff. Four top musicians at the top of their game. Doesn't get any better than this. And what an unbelievable live performance with so much power and so much energy put into the music. Absolutely love this. So let's have a quick look. So there's a shot from the live show. We've got some liner notes from John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes, and we've got the lyrics as well. And we've got some more lyrics here, and we've got like a couple shots from the live performance, and some more lyrics shot of Wetton and Downes Icon, and we've got the credits and production notes. Top to bottom, an excellent live album, and a great start for John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon. And the tracks we got here are Pain Bruno, which features John Wetton playing harmonica. It's a lovely soothing start before we get straight into the meat and potatoes, so to speak. We've got The Heat Goes On, Only Time Will Tell, Voice of America, one of my all-time favourite Asia songs from Astra, I Lay Down from Rock of Faith, Days Like These, Bolero, Meet Me at Midnight, Never in a Million Years, We Move as One, gorgeous track, Paradox, which goes straight into Let Me Go, an absolute powerful track from Icon, Don't Cry, classic stuff, Open Your Eyes, and the gorgeous and soulful The Smile Has Left Your Eyes. Excellent choice of material, great live performance from start to finish, and a great live album. Highly recommended to anyone who is a fan of Asia or a fan of John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes. This is definitely one well worth checking out. And the standout tracks for me are The Heat Goes On, Voice of America, I Lay Down, Days Like These, Never in a Million Years, Paradox, Let Me Go, Open Your Eyes, and The Smile Has Left Your Eyes. Great stuff here. Highly recommended. Absolutely love this. So there you have it. Icon Live, Never in a Million Years. Tremendous start and a great way to commemorate the reunion of John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes. Absolutely love it. Doesn't get any better than this. So we move on to the next live album, and this one came out in 2006. And for me, this could very well be the most unique and unusual Icon live album out of all of these live recordings. This was a soundtrack for a DVD of the same name, and this one is called Acoustic TV Broadcast. Sees John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes performing as a stripped down acoustic duo with a little bit of help from ELO cellist Hugh McDowell, but mostly this is Wetton and Downes performing as a duo. And it's quite unusual because, as you'd expect, the playing and the music is excellent, but the DVD is quite unusual because watching it, it sounds great, but it's mimed. For whatever reason, why this was the case, the whole performance was mimed. Obviously this was for television, so obviously they wanted everything to be 100% perfect and spot on. But when you've got two guys of this caliber, John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes, let the guys do their thing. These guys can play as a duo as good as anyone I have ever seen in any situation. Why would you get two of the best in the world to mime on television? I'd much rather hear it live because, these guys, they're no strangers to live work. They've been doing it for like forever. So it just seemed a little bit strange, but musically, it's excellent, as you'd expect. And it's quite a nice treat to hear these songs performed as stripped down duo pieces. So we've got Geoffrey Downes on keyboards and John Wetton on vocals and acoustic guitar. And we've got Hugh McDowell on cello. Brilliant cello player, in my opinion. Really miss him a lot. And, obviously miss John Wetton too. So we're just going to have a quick look. So there is the performance. So we've got the lyrics. And we've got some more lyrics here as well. And there's like a cool shot of Wetton and Downes. And there's the guys. And we've got the credits and production notes. So yeah, it's just quite an unusual live album. It is a live album in the traditional sense, but look at it like it's a live album in the studio, hence the name TV broadcast. But the playing is excellent. As an audio album, it's brilliant. The DVD, while still enjoyable, it's just a little bit strange for my liking, but above all else, this doesn't take away from the fact that this is still quality music with top-notch musicianship from two true legends. So we've got Heat of the Moments, Voice of America, absolutely beautiful hearing that as a stripped down piece. Let Me Go, God Walks With Us, Soul Survivor, Meet Me at Midnight, The Smile Has Left Your Eyes, I Lay Down, Open Your Eyes, Only Time Will Tell, Don't Cry, and In the End. And of course, we've got the bonus track, There in Your Bed. Excellent choice of songs, start to finish, it's brilliant. And as I said, I think the audio is better if you just treat it as a live album without any audience. The DVD is still enjoyable, but I don't know. I just found it a little bit strange. It's not bad. It's just the whole performance was mimed, and yeah, it doesn't really sit well with me. Things like that. But above all else, musically, it's excellent. Nothing bad to say about this live album whatsoever, and a nice treat to hear all these classic songs performed as stripped down acoustic pieces. So the standout tracks for me are Voice of America, I Lay Down, The Smile Has Left Your Eyes, In the End, Don't Cry, and Only Time Will Tell, and There in Your Bed. Great live album. As I said, it is what it is, but doesn't take away from the fact that it's a brilliant Icon live album, and it doesn't get any better than John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes. So there you have it. Acoustic TV broadcast. Weird, but enjoyable. Great stuff. So we move on to the next live album, and this one came out in 2009, and it's a triple disc album, two CDs and one DVD. And this one is very special to me for a lot of reasons, and mainly because I was actually in attendance with my dad at this concert, and it was truly a special and wonderful night. And it was the first and only time in Icon's entire history that we got the full band live. Never been done before and never to be repeated again. Doesn't get any better than that. And to actually be a part of history and experience such an amazing live performance is something that I will never ever forget. And this one is called Urban Psalm. So, Urban Psalm is a live album that took place in St. Mary le Bow Church in London in 2009. And as I said already, this was the first and only time in London that we got the full Icon band. So we've got John Wetton on bass, vocals, and acoustic guitars, Geoffrey Downes on keyboards and backing vocals, Hugh McDowell from ELO on cello, Dave Kilminster on guitars, lead and backing vocals, Pete Riley on drums, and the lovely and super talented Amory Helder on vocals, flutes, and various other instruments from Panic Room. Doesn't get any better than this. One off live concert, never to be seen again, and I got to see it in person. And if you watch the DVD, you might see me somewhere in the audience with my dad. It's just unbelievable. Wow. Love it. So there we are. And just going to have a quick look. So there's some liner notes from Wetton and Downes about this historic night. I've got some more notes here as well. And we've got the full set list and all the tracks that were performed at this concert. And wow, what more can you say, really? Absolutely tremendous stuff. Now, there was one track that was performed live, and it was from Dave Kilminster's solo album, but it's not featured on here for probably copyright issues. But he did get to play a track from his solo album. Sadly, it's not on this live album, but they did play it, and yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. So we've got a little bit of everything in this live performance. We've got songs from Asia, King Crimson, The Buggles, Icon, and a track from John Wetton's solo album. And we've even got tracks from Icon 3, which wasn't even out yet at the time of this live performance. And it's a very diverse set list of material and a very cool snippet of both Wetton and Downes' individual careers, and all six musicians at the top of their game. John Wetton is on fine form, both vocally and musically. Geoff Downes is always at the top of his game. Pete Riley brings a lot of power in his drumming. Dave Kilminster really rips it up on guitar, and he's a great singer as well. Hugh McDowell, I wondered where he would fit in the music as a cello player, but he fits in very nicely and almost operates like a violin player, and he's just brilliant, and some great playing from McDowell, and he brings more of a orchestral flavour to the music. And Amory Helder, I'm a huge fan of hers, super talented musician and a great singer. And she had a huge task. She had to follow two amazing singers who sang on the first two Icon albums, and they were Anneke van Giersbergen and Annie Haslam, two excellent singers in their own rights. And Amory Helder did an excellent job following and filling both their shoes very nicely. She's an amazing musician. I've always loved Amory Helder and everything she's ever done, and I'm a big fan of Panic Room. Just a fantastic band and one of my favourites. So we've got Countdown to Zero, which is a great opener, which goes straight into Go. Excellent track as well. I've Come to Take You Home from Rock of Faith. Brilliant song. I love the burning guitar solo from Dave Kilminster. Twice the Man I Was from Icon 3, excellent. Elstree from the Buggles, very fun and quirky. Voice of America is excellent. The Dies cast is great. To Cash a Thief is excellent. Starless is just one of the greatest progressive rock songs of all time, and just love the way Kilminster burns it up, really channels in his inner Fripp. Then we got Paradox, Let Me Go is brilliant. Raven, which features very enchanting and angelic vocals from Anne-Marie Helder. True Colours is brilliant. Heat of the Moment is one of the greatest Asia songs of all time, if not the greatest. Rubicon is excellent. Don't Go Out Tonight from Icon 3 is great. My Own Time is brilliant. Days Like These, just a great rock song. In the End is great, and Rock and Roll Dream. Unbelievable collection of songs. Interestingly, there's a lot of material from Astra. I've noticed that quite a lot with Wetton and Downes. They tend to play a lot of songs from Astra, so maybe it holds some sort of special meaning for both of them. So standout tracks for me are Countdown to Zero, Go, I've Come to Take You Home, Voice of America, Starless, To Catch a Thief, Paradox, Let Me Go, Heat of the Moment, Rubicon, In the End, and Rock and Roll Dream. Absolutely classic live album. I've got to witness this in person, and this is a very, very special performance for me because, as I mentioned, I was there, and this was the only time in history that we got the full Icon band, and sadly, never to be repeated again. Truly a one off, one of a kind live performance. So there you have it. Urban Psalm, excellent live album, could very well be the best one of the entire Icon live catalogue. Love it. So we move on to the next live album, and this one came out in 2012, and it's a double live album in 2012, and it's a double album. And this live concert took place in Japan just a few weeks before I saw Icon in London, and this one is called Heat of the Rising Sun. So a lot of the tracks on this double live album is pretty much near enough the same as the set list that I saw Icon play in London with McDowell and Helder. But there's also a few other surprises as well. So we've got some tracks from Yes. We've got some tracks from obviously Wetton's solo album. We've got some UK material and some King Crimson material. And obviously we've got Asia material and Icon material. So it's quite a diverse set here, you know, a little bit of everything showcasing all of the bands that Wetton and Downes played in. So a bit of Asia, a bit of UK, a bit of Yes, a bit of the Buggles. It's all here. So this is Icon as the four-piece lineup with John Wetton, Geoffrey Downes, Dave Kilminster, and Pete Riley. So no Hugh McDowell and no Anne-Marie Helder, but still a fantastic live album. Maybe not as strong as some of the others that I've mentioned already, but it's still very enjoyable stuff, and it's quite a nice treat to hear some of these classic songs performed by Icon. So we've got Countdown to Zero, Let Me Go, Elstree, The Dies Cast, Book of Saturday, Tempest Fugit, Rendezvous 602, one of the greatest UK songs of all time, Angel from Dave Kilminster's solo album, The Night Watch, brilliant song, In the Dead of the Night. What more can you say, really? Dave Kilminster really does an excellent job on the iconic Alan Holdsworth guitar solo. Heat of the Moment, Video Killed the Radio Star. Well, it's a classic pop song. It's Buggles. And then we've got I've Come to Take You Home, burning guitar solo from Dave Kilminster. Twice the Man I Was, excellent. America, one of my all-time favourite songs from Astra. Battle Lines is brilliant. Rubicon is great. Don't Go Out Tonight. My Own Time is great. Days Like These is a classic rock song. Rock and Roll Dreams is great. Meet Me at Midnight, excellent song. True Colours is great. And Starless, one of the greatest King Crimson songs of all time. Excellent stuff. And there we are. There are the chaps, since I did mention Holdsworth. A little bit about the performance, and we've got the credits and production notes as well. Great live album. As I said, maybe not as strong as the others, but it's quite a diverse set of songs, and some of these songs are legendary, so it's nice to hear these songs get played all the time, and it never gets old. And standout tracks for me are Countdown to Zero, Dice Cast, Book of Saturday, Rendezvous 602, In the Dead of Night, Heat of the Moment, I've Come to Take You Home, Battle Lines, Rubicon, Rock and Roll Dreams, True Colors, and Starless. Excellent live album, great double live album, bit of everything from both Wetton and Downes. Superb playing from all four musicians, unbelievable musicianship. As I said, great live album, but maybe not as strong as some of the others here. But highly recommend you check this one out. Not an easy one to find, but if you can find it, it's worth checking out if you're a fan of John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes. So there you have it. Heat of the Rising Sun. Very enjoyable. So, which John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon live album do I think is the best one? Well, they're all good. As I said at the beginning, there are a couple that I feel are a little bit better than others, but they're all different and they're all very enjoyable. And a lot of the material that's featured is very diverse, so there's a little bit of everything, not just from Icon, but from both Wetton and Downes careers. If I had to choose which one I think is the best Icon live album, it's definitely going to be Urban Psalm. As I said, I was there at this concert. I got to witness this in person, and it was just truly a very special and magical night for me. And to actually be part of history doesn't get any better than that. And a lot of the material that was featured on here, just excellent music and a brilliant showcase for both Wetton and Downes. And plus, to have Anne Helder, Dave Kilminster, Pete Riley, and Hugh McDowell, you know, just doesn't get any better than that. And as I said, this was the first and only time in history that we had the full Icon band in London. That just makes it even more special for me. So there you have it. Urban Psalm, for my money, the best John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon live album. Highly recommend you check this one out. It's a very special concert and has a very special place in my heart. I absolutely love this one. There you have it. Urban Psalm. Excellent stuff. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What's your favourite John Wetton and Geoffrey Downes Icon Live album? Is it Icon Live, Never in a Million Years, Acoustic TV Broadcast, Urban Psalm, or Heat of the Rising Sun? There's no right or wrong answer. We all have our favourite live albums. You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Progressive Rock and Metal album review series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.